all you can do is prepare your best, as best as you can, as best at the time, as best as your knowledge allowed, and put the effort in, and then to stand on a start line with the new shoe like the Velociti Elite, it just gave me that sense of fairness.
Hi, I'm Dougie, a 220 marathon runner, and I'm here with Stephen Scullion, 209, a little bit quicker than me, but we won't hold that against him. So, Stephen, today we're going to be talking pretty much just about yourself and a little bit around the new shoe that's releasing, the Flow Velociti Elite. It's a really exciting shoe. Have you had a bit of a hand in kind of like wear testing this and giving some feedback?
Yeah, so probably in the whole shoe journey, it dates way back, but in 2017, wore the first ever prototype that came out for one of the shoes we've seen earlier, which was the orange Velociti Racer. But I wore a grey pair like way back in 2017. So over the years, there's been, a lot of feedback, a lot of meetings, a lot of talks, a lot of, let's get this going in a good direction. And so believe me, when this new shoe came out and it was really good, it was like, well done, guys. Because it's been a long time, but I think in the pace of shoe changing, that has been so fast, and so Under Armour done a brilliant job of catching up in the minimal time that they had, and they'd been just new into the shoe game. But how Under Armour incorporate their elites and ambassadors in a way to help their shoe team is probably quite unique to other brands. That they're really on that ground level, asking the athletes, what is it you want? What is it would really help? And let's start moving towards that.
Sure, and I guess with a brand like Under Armour, obviously you've been involved for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
How have you kind of seen the direction of the brand, and kind of like I guess personally to you speak about quite a lot in terms of the trials and tribulations that you go through in running, and I guess in life as well. Like, how does your kind of relationship with the brand just really help you, I guess, to perform that bit better? You've got a brand that stands behind you.
Yeah, and I actually probably I think in life sometimes we're forgetful. And so coming to events like this, it almost reminds you of that gratitude I should probably have for, and I do have it, but events like this are so great because I get to remind myself that not only did I have a company believe in me and back me when I never thought I would get a professional contract in the likes of 2017, 2018, and then from a personal perspective when I was going through a pretty rough time around the Olympics, and I literally think I just sent out a tweet and said something, and I've said a fair few things on Twitter, but the boss of Under Armour emailed me a few days later, and I remember crying my eyes out because he was just like, we love that you make yourself so vulnerable because it can help so many people. And he's like, you have helped so many people, but he was like, now we want to help you. And I had shivers. I was I was in tears. I was crying my eyes out. Probably because for the first time I thought, with Under Armour behind me, I believe they said the best therapist to help, because they were like, you deserve to be happy. And so you have a brand that would love to see you run fast, but not just for them. In fact, I don't think it's for them at all. They just would love it to bring the best out of you, which of course makes them look really good, but also just because they care a lot. And so Under Armour is it's like a family. It's that word gets thrown around a lot, and that's not used lightly, because I could never run a step again, and I know that brand would still support me until I didn't want to be involved with them anymore. And there's not many companies in the world would do that.
Sure, and I guess that the kind of the ups and downs that you've gone through, it's kind of like a metaphor for the marathon as well. There's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. That you're so right, and maybe that's almost like, in London when I ran 209, I ran for a half marathon 3 weeks before, 61:08, which is so fast, but it was almost easy. It was easy. London, from like the rain, the wind, the wet, I let my race kit sit on the floor, the sword was soaked, I didn't know it. It was the worst thing ever to put on. Yeah. Just from the start, it was just hard. And it was just like, I remember about 8 mile, 9 mile in thinking, hey, if you want to stop, that's okay. Like, everyone else is dropping out, it's a horrible day, your arms are freezing, I can't pick up my race bottles. And I remember thinking two things. I remember thinking, the people that know you and support you, if they could predict what happens next, what would they say? And I knew they'd be like, he's an animal, he just would have braved it and kept going. And I went, it reminded me like, yes. And then I went to tell you what, your psychology's not in a good place here today. And I was like, so why don't you just start focusing on facts? And I was like, the fact is you just ran another mile at sub 210 pace, and that big board up there is still saying sub 210. And every mile that you do from here, as long as it's still around 5 or under, forget what the brain's saying, you're still in a good place. And it just went bang, bang, bang. And that's like, yeah, marathon, you will go through ups and downs, you will go through peaks and valleys. By mile 19:20, I went, poof, I feel pretty good, let's go. And that's how life is. Like, some days are good, some days are bad. And I think what I try to encourage the most is bad times, rough times, handle it whatever way you're kind of, and I don't mean qualified, I just mean handle it in the way that you know how, but don't judge yourself so heavily on that. You can always work on handling things better, but yeah, don't judge yourself on those bad days, because we all have them, and that's just life.
Sure, and I guess now having a shoe like the Flow Velociti Elite, when you're standing on that start line, it just helps you to know that you can get the best out of yourself and you can go through those ups and downs, knowing you're supported with the footwear. Yeah,
and so you literally said at the start of this conversation, you've ran 220 and I've ran 209. I've also ran 220. Like that, it happens, you know, there's hard days. I've thought I'm in a certain fitness shape and not had the best day, but all you can do is prepare your best, as best as you can, as best at the time, as best as your knowledge allowed, and put the effort in. And then to stand on a start line with the new shoe like the Velociti Elite, it just gave me that sense of fairness. I didn't want an advantage. I think that'd be amazing, but I didn't want it or even think I needed it. I just wanted fair. And that was the big push with the company. It was, let's get us on start lines that we're stood next to someone, and instead of literally, I wouldn't, but instead of feeling like you're backing down a bit because you're not on par perhaps with the shoe tech, that you can just stand there and stand tall because yeah, let's go. This is me versus you. This hasn't become a bit like, do we call it Formula One, where we know which car's better, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We didn't want that. Running didn't need that. Running needed fair, who's worked the hardest, who's trained the smartest, who is the best athlete on the day to win the race. And that's all I ever wanted. And so now I have that.
Happy Stephen.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to take on a marathon this spring, but autumn time, well, maybe not. Let's see what Haas has to say about it.
Yeah.
But autumn, you're potentially eyeing up Berlin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fast course.
Yeah.
I don't know if you already had a look, but John Treacy's record.
Yeah, no,
is it there?
Yeah, so I hypothetically got the Irish road legal record. I didn't hypothetically, I did, but I'm going to add a but to that, because that run at Boston, 209.15, I think it is amazing. Such a good run. John Treacy was a beast. And so I would love to go out there and give it a go. It was part of the reason I kind of kept in running, because there's an arrogance to this, but there's also a fairness. Athletes like myself don't come along every day. And so if hypothetically the stars aligned and I got it right, I probably could break that time. And so it's like I felt this, you kind of owe it to the fact that there isn't 40 of you every year that could potentially do that. And so try and see how it goes. Don't think I'll do a marathon in the next couple of weeks. I really want to, because things are starting to go good, but this time I want to do things right. Athletes cash in too early all the time. They have one good session, they want to find a race, and sometimes you just have to let things brew and marinate. And so, yeah, do things right, build for Berlin, and this kind of, call it a comeback, whatever it is, new lease of life, new motivation. It was all about qualifying for Paris Olympics. And so I do believe I could go to Copenhagen in 10 weeks. There's other marathons, and I'm sure I could run 209.50 or 210.20, and that's a great time. But this new lease of life, this new motivation was about going and trying to run 208.10. And you go and you run 210.15 in Copenhagen, it's brilliant, no doubt about it. You go and run 208.10 in Berlin, having been really patient, you go down in history as legend. Yeah. And that's the goal, not to cash in early, to see what I can build and see what I can do.
Yeah. I mean, Berlin's the course for that. It's world records are plenty that have been set there, so the stage is set.
Yeah, so that's on the fair topic, if you're stood on a start line and you've got a great shoe and you've got the fastest marathon course in the world, I would love to go and run really fast, but I don't need it. It's just I want an opportunity, I'll prepare as best I can, and we'll find out. Runners get very personal about race results, like it's a reflection of themselves. It's more a reflection of the build-up, you're human, did it go well, did you stay healthy, etc., etc. All you can do is try, and that's the victory. And then you go on the start line, you execute a good race plan, and good shoes, good course, it gives you optimal chance, but it's just an opportunity to try. And then if you don't do it, you try again. That's the beautiful thing. And so I think they say you don't like fail until that day that you sort of give up completely. Yeah. And don't try again. And believe me, I have quit and failed thousands of times, but I just seem to find a way to get back on the horse and go again, you know?
Well, we're all excited for Berlin to see what
Thank
you
you.
can do, and then hopefully Paris as well.
Yeah,
so best of luck.
I hope so. Good to meet you.